It's a story about my brother-in-law's uncle, who was a doctor in small town in South India. One night after closing his clinic, he was asleep at home. There was a knock on the door of his home. Dr. I's grandmother opened the door. In India, there are two doors, an internal one and the external one. So in front of his grandmother was a person in the dark of a night asking for the doctors to help his wife, who was pregnant and was in urgent need of medical care. The grandmother didn't want to disturb Dr. I, so basically said that he is resting and to please come back in the morning. However, he was very insistent and said that it was very urgent and that his wife was critical. On hearing all the commotion at the front door, Dr. I woke up and after understanding the situation, agreed to help him. He packed any medical equipment he thought would be appropriate and left with the stranger to assist him. Given that this is a small rural town in India, the street lights are not very common. Therefore, on the way to his home, where his wife needed help, all the roads were pitch black and without much lighting. So Dr. I still hadn't seen the stranger clearly. He could only make out that he was wearing some clothes. The stranger kept telling him how sorry he was for disturbing so late at the night, and that his wife was truly in need of medical attention. Along the way, the stranger turned towards the graveyard, which made Dr. halt and asked the obvious. The stranger responded that his home was behind the graveyard, and thus intersecting it would be the shortest route towards it. Dr. I agreed to follow him. Despite not being completely convinced, he thought that it at least made some sense and that there was no reason to doubt him yet. Walking to the graveyard, they walked close to an area with a lamppost, thus some better lighting. At the point, the doctor couldn't believe it, despite trying to locate the stranger's face. He couldn't see anything. All he could see was some clothes hanging in the air. At this point, he obviously tried to hide his shock and urgently tried to think of an excuse to get out of there. So he told the figure that he had forgotten some of the key equipments and need to go back to home to get it. Despite the stranger's insistence that isn't required and to just let it be, the doctor somehow tried to get out of it, stating that the equipment is very important and that he would even leave his current case behind if he didn't believe him. Leaving the bag behind, he ran to his home, hoping that the stranger thought that he was hurrying to get the equipment rather than escaping. Once home, he told what happened to his grandmother, both of whom stayed vigilant throughout the night. But he eventually managed to get some shut-eye. But he couldn't believe he dreamed about the same stranger with no face, only the figure who was wearing clothes. In the morning, still shocked by events of the last night, the doctor went to the work as usual and tries to go on his everyday business so as to forget about what had happened. During the day, the local mayor had come to his clinic to get his son checked up. While small talk took precedent, the doctor mentioned how the local government could do more to install more street lights so as to improve the visibility at night. He cited yesterday's instance as an example, without getting into detail, basically suggesting that he could see anything while following the potential patient. The mayor seemed intrigued by the example, so he asked the doctor to explain further. The doctor gave out some details, but still omitting the details about him. basically seen what was an invisible figure. As things like this can be perceived as the site of madness in Indian culture. The mayor seemed interested, but calm, and thus he requested that the doctor drop by his office when he has closed clinic. Still scared by the event of the last night, and now worried about revelation lays with the mayor, the doctor closed his clinic earlier than usual and went to the mayor's office. While there, the mayor asked the clearer and more frank assessment of his event told in the afternoon. Once the doctor revealed the complete truth, the mayor removed the 3 files of doctors from his desk, thinking that these were prospective doctors that may be invited to the small town. Dr. Rai, impressed and happy that more doctors were being invited into the small town in need of more medical expertise. However, the mayor said that these 3 doctors had been missing previously in similar circumstances that had been explained by the doctor himself the night before. They had been lured to emergency late at night and then no been seen again. The obvious shocked the doctors even more, and he started being much more vigilant, particularly at the night. In the night, Dr. Rai still dreamed about the stranger but didn't go to anywhere at night.